You were not born to be a puppet, twitched by urges, dragged by emotions, and enslaved by thoughts you didn't choose. You were born with dominion, but somewhere along the line, you forgot. Because it's easier to give in. Easier to let your body lead you like a chained beast, sniffing after its next thrill. Easier to let your mind spiral, thinking whatever it wants, whenever it wants, wherever it wants. No filter, no order, just chaos. But here's the brutal truth. You are either in control or you are controlled. There's no middle ground. No, you don't get to ride the fence in this war. Because this is war. War against yourself. And until you win that war, you will never know freedom. Look around. The weak are everywhere. Addicted to their appetites. Distracted by every shiny thing. They think they're making choices, but they're just obeying impulses. They talk about finding themselves. What they need is to forge themselves. In silence, in struggle, in fire. Your body is not your master. Your mind is not your enemy. But if you let them run wild, they will turn against you. Let that sink in. The strongest part of you is not your muscles, not your mind. It is the will that can control them both. Turn the beast into a weapon. Sex, rage, fear, hunger. These aren't curses. They are power. Raw, nuclear, unchecked power. And what happens to power that isn't harnessed? It destroys everything it touches. You've seen it. Lives burned to the ground by indulgence. Minds shattered by panic. Empires lost to lust. People blaming the emotion instead of blaming themselves for being too weak to command it. Discipline doesn't mean denial. It means domination. You don't kill the beast. You tame it. You don't silence the chaos. You conduct it like a symphony. This is the path of the unbreakable. So what is self-discipline really? It is the refusal to let the body dictate the mind. It is the refusal to let the mind dictate the mission. It is the higher self, the real you, rising above both. You don't beg your emotions to behave. You don't negotiate with your thoughts. You give commands, and they obey. And when they don't, you make them. Because you are the general, the commander, the king. And if you abdicate your throne, something else will take it. Your desires, your fears, your excuses, your addictions, and they will rule you like a tyrant until there's nothing left. Do not fear the fight. You think it's hard? Good. It's supposed to be. Only through pressure does coal become a diamond. Only through resistance does the muscle grow. Only through war do you earn peace. Your self-discipline is not built when things are easy. It is forged in the fire. When your body is screaming for comfort and you choose pain. When your mind begs for rest and you choose progress. When every cell in your body wants to stop and you keep going. That's the moment the monster becomes your ally. The throne is empty. Take it. You've wasted enough time living like a slave to your instincts. Now, it's time to walk like a god among mortals. No more excuses. No more distractions. No more weakness parading as self-care. Every moment you give in to your impulses, you hand over your crown. And every moment you resist, every moment you choose the harder path, you step closer to becoming untouchable. Discipline is not punishment. It's the highest act of love you can give to your future. So, take command. Chain the beast. Train the mind. Earn the crown. And when they ask you how you did it, why you're so focused, so powerful, so free, you'll smile and say nothing. Because true power needs no explanation, only demonstration, and you will be the proof. They want you to bow, Not to a throne, not to a god, but to your circumstances, to your problems, to the heavy weight pressing down on your chest when things get hard, to the pressure that dares you to fold. That voice in your head saying, "This is too much. You can't fight this." That is not your voice. That is the voice of submission. And that voice must be silenced. Tolerate if you must, but never submit. There is a difference. Tolerate the cold, but do not shiver in fear. Tolerate the pain, but do not curse your life. Tolerate the enemy, but do not believe for 1 second they can break you. Life will throw you to your knees 1,000 times. You may hit the ground, but you never stay there. Because the warrior does not stay bowed. They rise, bloody, bruised, cracked wide open, and say, "You will not conquer me." Submission is a choice. Yes, the world is cruel. Yes, you've been betrayed. Yes, your bank account, your heartbreak, your health, your failures, they're real. But they are not you. They are weather. You are the mountain. And when the storm comes, you don't apologize for standing tall. You don't curse the thunder. You plant your feet, stare it down, and dare it to do its worst. Because here's the brutal truth. Most people break not because life was too hard, but because they let their spirit kneel before it. You are stronger than it. It. The diagnosis. It. The eviction. It. The betrayal. The loss. The emptiness. Whatever your it is not bigger than you. You don't need to erase the pain. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need one decision. I will not be ruled by this. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become in spite of it. Refuse the role of the victim. The world will hand you every reason to feel sorry for yourself. And the moment you take the bait, you give up your power. Because power doesn't live in pity. It lives in resistance, in rejection, in the voice that whispers, "No, I'm not done." Let others weep. Let them blame. Let them collapse under the weight. But not you. You weren't made to collapse. You were made to command the collapse. To take what was meant to break you and build with it. Your spirit must remain untouched. You might bleed. You might cry. You might lose. But never lose your fire. Never let the enemy see you kneel. Never let the storm see you surrender. Never let your own shadow convince you that you are anything less than sovereign. Because when everything is stripped away, your title, your status, your strength, the last thing you own is your will. And if you guard that, you have already won. This is the warrior's oath. I will tolerate, but I will not submit. I will adapt, but I will not break. I will fall, but I will never stay down. I will struggle, but I will always rise. Even if I crawl, I rise. Even if I scream, I rise. Even if I'm alone in the dark with no map, no allies, no promise of rescue, I rise. Because my destiny isn't handed to me. It's taken. By force. By fire. By refusal. So remember this. You are not the victim of life's blows. You are the force that absorbs them, transforms them, and stands taller every time. You are not here to kneel. You are here to command the storm and become the one thing life fears to face, the soul that cannot be broken. In this world of constant noise, too many speak, too many reveal, too many hand over their deepest thoughts to people who haven't earned the right to hear them. You want to be powerful? You want to be untouchable? Then learn this one skill: secrecy. You don't have to be mysterious. You don't have to be cold. But if everyone knows everything about you, you have no defense. Not all access is earned. They smile in your face. They ask innocent questions. They tell you you can trust them. But trust isn't something you give away because someone seems nice. Trust is earned in war, in fire, in years of loyalty, not in a conversation, not over coffee. Because the moment you tell someone your fears, your past, your plans, you give them a weapon, and in the wrong hands, that weapon can destroy you. Some people talk themselves into weakness. You've seen them. Maybe you've been one of them. Mouths running faster than their minds, oversharing everything, thinking it's honesty, thinking it's connection. But it's not connection. It's exposure. It's bleeding in front of wolves. You want to be powerful? Then control the urge to speak. Control the urge to be understood. Because the most dangerous minds are the ones you never see coming. Build the 3 walls. Wall 1, the gate of access. This wall filters the crowd. Most people don't get past it. They might smile at you. They might share space with you. But they don't get access to your mind, your secrets, your soul. They don't need to know your trauma. They don't need to know your plans. They don't even need to know your thoughts about them. You owe them nothing. Your silence is your fortress. Wall 2, the barrier of alignment. This wall stops even the insiders, even the ones who say they love you. Because love is not always alignment. Someone can care about you deeply and still not be qualified to guide your path. They may speak with concern. They may advise you with fear. But their fear is not your compass. Only those who share your vision, your standard, your mission can be allowed into this inner circle. Otherwise, they stay on the outside of your strategy, where they belong. Wall 3, the inner sanctum. No one enters this wall. Not your family, not your lover, not your best friend. This wall is for you and your creator only. Here is where you commune with your highest self, where you ask the questions no one else hears, where you plan in silence, where you recover when the world has betrayed you, where you gather your strength and plot your next move. This is the throne room of your soul, and it must remain untouched. Mystery is not weakness, it's leverage. The moment people know your every move, you become predictable. Predictability is vulnerability. But when you guard your mind, when you build these walls, you become the unknown variable. They can't control what they don't understand. They can't destroy what they can't access. They can't sabotage a mission they can't see. That's power. They'll call you distant. Let them. They'll say, "Why don't you open up more?" They'll say, "You're so hard to read." Good. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Because while they speak, you build. While they gossip, you plan. While they leak, you rise. This world wasn't made for the loud. It was made for the disciplined. The ones who understand that privacy is not paranoia. It's protection. So guard your mind like it's the last kingdom on earth. Let no one roam freely through it. Let no one casually visit. Build the walls, lock the gates, and stand at the center, alone, focused, indestructible. Not everyone deserves to know you. And the moment you accept that, you become unstoppable. Loose lips sink more than ships. They sink empires. They sink reputations. They sink destinies. In the shadows of every great downfall, there was a mouth that couldn't stay shut, a tongue too eager, a voice too desperate to be heard, and a mind that forgot the value of silence. You don't need to say everything you think. In fact, if you're chasing greatness, you must not. Because the more you speak, the more you give away. And in this world, People weaponize your words faster than you can take them back. The weak speak first. Watch a room. Who speaks first? Who fills the silence? Who shares too much, too fast? The weak. They need attention. They need validation. They need to feel important. But the strong? They wait. They watch. They calculate. They listen to the silence and the desperation of those trying to escape it. The strongest mind in the room is the one that speaks the least and understands the most. Information is power. Silence is security. Every time you open your mouth without purpose, you give away leverage. You tell the world your desires, your weaknesses, your plans, and then you wonder why people sabotage you, why they manipulate you, why they steal your ideas, outmaneuver your next move, or throw your words back in your face. It's because you armed them. You gave them the blueprint to your mind, and now they own it more than you do. Let them talk. You study. Here's the secret. Most people are dying to tell you who they are. You don't have to interrogate them. Just listen. The insecure will expose their every flaw. The jealous will reveal their envy. The dishonest will trip over their own lies. They'll talk themselves into weakness. All you have to do is let them. And when they ask about you, you say little. You nod. You offer just enough to be polite, but never enough to be read. Because the less they know, the less they can use. Discipline your voice like a blade. You must train your voice like a warrior trains a sword. Only drawn with intent. Only used with precision. Never swung wildly. Learn to hold your tongue in moments of victory. Learn to say nothing when provoked. Learn to let others drown in their noise while you sharpen your silence into steel. Because words can win battles, but silence can win wars. Not everyone deserves your truth. You think honesty is a virtue? Only when it's aimed at the right people. Only when it's earned. Only when it won't be twisted into a knife. You don't owe your thoughts to strangers. You don't owe your dreams to doubters. And you sure as hell don't owe your plans to the weak. Speak when it's strategic. Speak when it builds, not when it breaks. Speak when silence is no longer the sharpest weapon in the room. Until then, let the fools talk. Let the cowards babble. Let the crowd reveal themselves. You remain unreadable, indecipherable, untouchable. So the next time you're tempted to open your mouth, ask yourself this: will these words build my kingdom? Or will they hand the enemy the key to my gates? If the answer is unclear, close your mouth, sharpen your focus, and speak only when the world is quiet enough to feel the weight of your words. Most people walk through life leaderless, not because no one ever tried to lead them, but because they never learned to lead themselves. They drift, they doubt, they decay, and then they look around, searching for some voice, some sign, some savior to tell them what to do, how to live, who to be. But here's the truth they never told you. You don't need someone to lead you. You need to create something within you that refuses to let you fall. That's where your guides come in. Your imagination is not fiction. It's command central. They told you imagination was for children. They lied. Imagination is the interface between you and power. It's the system you use to architect the unseen. The blueprint you etch into the subconscious until your life obeys it. If you can imagine it, deeply, deliberately, obsessively, you can live it. And when you imagine your life as being surrounded by forces, guides, sentinels, archetypes, you aren't escaping reality. You're reprogramming it. Summon the 8 guides, your invisible counsel. These are not fantasies. These are roles, principles, forces you breathe life into with focus, discipline, and repetition. And when summoned properly, they don't just live in your head, they reshape your identity. 1. The Guide of Sound Health. Without energy, your ideas rot. Without vitality, your vision dies. This guide guards your body like a temple. He trains you to rest with purpose, to eat with intelligence, to train like a weapon, because nothing else matters if the engine is broken. He whispers in your ear when you're about to skip the workout. He slaps the donut from your hand. He demands sweat, sunlight, stillness, and structure. And if you obey, he will reward you with a body that obeys every command you give it. 2. The Guide of Financial Prosperity. Not greed, not desperation. Prosperity. This is the one who keeps you sharp, focused, strategic. He teaches you the language of money, the patterns of wealth, the ethics of power. He doesn't want you rich for ego. He wants you rich for freedom, for leverage, for impact. And when the hunger becomes too much, when you start chasing dollars more than meaning, he pulls you back. He reminds you, enough is everything. More can be a prison. 3. The Guide of Peace of Mind. No noise. No war. No panic. This guide is calm in the chaos. He waits in the dark with eyes that do not flinch. He teaches you how to breathe through storms, how to smile through failure, how to remain centered while the world burns around you. When your heart races, when anxiety creeps in, when doubt screams in your ears, he speaks one word, still, and everything obeys. 4 and 5. The Guides of Hope and Faith. They're twins. One sees the light. The other believes it's real. Hope keeps you moving forward. Faith keeps you from falling backward. Hope says, maybe. Faith says, definitely. Together, they make you unstoppable. When logic says quit, when numbers say no chance, when everything visible tells you to give up, they whisper, it's already yours. Keep going. 6 and 7. The Guides of Love and Romance. Another pair, another fire. Love is not weakness. Romance is not fluff. They are fuel. This guide doesn't just ignite intimacy, it ignites passion for life. He makes you fall in love with your mission. He makes you wake up with fire in your lungs. He makes your work sacred. When drudgery creeps in, when everything feels mechanical and dull, he returns the spark. He makes you feel again. 8. The Guide of Supreme Wisdom. The General. The Overseer. The Architect. This one doesn't speak often, but when he does, it's law. He watches over all the others. He is the one who tells you when to push and when to pull back. He knows when ambition becomes poison. He knows when fear is whispering lies. And he demands truth. He demands your best. He demands your loyalty to something higher than success. This is the guide that tells you what your legacy will be. This is not fantasy, it's function. Each of these guides lives because you give them life. They are fragments of your higher self, weaponized into roles. They keep you balanced, sharp, focused, awake. Without them, you are scattered, emotional, lost. With them, you are sovereign, unstoppable, aligned. Let the world laugh, then let them watch you rise. They'll say it's weird. They'll say it's childish. They'll say it's delusional. And while they scroll, while they gossip, while they rot in comfort, you'll be rising in silence, backed by an army no one else can see. Because in the end, they won't be able to explain it. How you kept going, how you stayed calm, how you achieved everything they swore was impossible. And when they ask you how you did it, all you'll say is, I wasn't alone. Because you weren't. You had guides, you had purpose, you had a system, and it changed everything. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the invitation. You've been lied to. You were taught that pain is a sign to stop, to shrink, to run. But real ones know better. Pain is the teacher. And most of the time, it's the only one that tells the truth. Pain says, here's where you're weak. Pain says, here's where you need to grow. Pain doesn't lie to protect your feelings. It exposes your fault lines and then dares you to seal them. Most will break under it, but a few, a rare, hardened few, they use it. They grind it into power. They turn their suffering into a furnace and burn their limitations alive. You are the alchemist of experience. Whatever comes into your life, betrayal, loss, rejection, failure, you have one mission: convert it. You don't get to choose what happens, but you damn sure get to choose what it becomes. You can either let the world hit you and say, why me? Or you can look back at the blow and say, watch me. Watch me take your worst and make it the reason I rise. Watch me use your abandonment as the seed of my independence. Watch me take the wreckage of my reputation and build a throne out of the rubble. Everything is grist for the mill. If you grind hard enough, you must destroy the language of defeat. Wipe these phrases from your mind. I wish it didn't happen. It's not fair. I can't recover from this. That's the language of slaves. Instead, speak like a conqueror. This will serve me. I will use this. This won't define me. It will refine me. Because words aren't just words. They're blueprints. And when your language changes, your reality follows. If you talk like a victim, you'll live like one. But if you speak like a weapon, every wound becomes another edge on your blade. Unpleasant experiences are cowards. They show up loud, aggressive, demanding your attention. But if you face them with resolve, they retreat. Pain multiplies in the presence of weakness, but it withers in the shadow of resilience. You want to make pain disappear? Use it. You want to make fear run? Walk toward it. When adversity realizes it cannot bend you, cannot break you, cannot shake you, it looks elsewhere, because it knows this one isn't worth the effort. Grind everything. Burn nothing. You don't burn your past. You grind it. You extract every drop of meaning, every lesson, every angle, every scar that once made you flinch becomes a badge of war. You are not broken. You are built with rare material. While others carry their suffering like shackles, you weld yours into armor. While they hide from their past, you wear yours like a war mask. Everything that was meant to bury you, you will make it bow to you. This is the creed of the unshakable. I do not discard pain. I absorb it. I process it. I weaponize it. No moment is wasted. No wound is pointless. No failure is final. Everything serves me, or it dies trying. And when they ask why you're so strong, why nothing seems to break you anymore, you'll look them in the eye and say, because I grind everything that touches me into power. Your mind is not a playground. It's a weapon. But most people treat it like a trash bin. They let anything inside: fear, doubt, envy, negativity from friends, family, co-workers, and strangers. And then they wonder why they feel weak, angry, lost. It's not a mystery. You've been feeding your mind poison and starving your vision. What you focus on becomes your world. What you ignore dies. So tell me this: why do you keep breathing life into things that are trying to kill you? You must starve the parasites. Yes, parasites. That's what they are. The thoughts that replay your failures, the memories that humiliate you, the imagined scenarios that haven't even happened but already own your emotional state. They're parasites, and you feed them every time you entertain them. Your mind is sacred ground. Every second spent thinking about what you don't want is a second building the prison you swore you'd escape. You've forgotten that you're the gatekeeper. You think you have no control? That the thoughts just show up and take over? Wrong. You're the one opening the door. You're the one letting them unpack, rearrange the furniture, and rule your inner world. Self-discipline means you lock the gate. You stop letting unwanted thoughts set up camp in your kingdom. Because if you're not in control of your mind, then someone, or something, else is. Whatever you feed, grows. Feed fear, it gets stronger. Feed anger, it controls you. Feed doubt, it multiplies. But feed vision, feed purpose, feed the image of who you could become if you just stayed locked in, then everything changes. Your body changes. Your habits change. Your life bends in the direction of your dominant thought. So dominate your thoughts before they dominate you. Fix your mind. Like a laser, not a lighthouse. A lighthouse spins, shining light in all directions. It's beautiful, but it's scattered. It doesn't change what it touches. It just notices it. But a laser can cut steel. Focus like that. Pick what you want. Visualize it every day. Guard it with everything you've got. And when distractions knock on your door, when fear taps on the glass, when your past screams for attention, you look it dead in the eye and say, "You're not part of the vision." And you slam the door. Make thought a ritual. Don't just try to focus. Make it a daily ceremony. Wake up and feed your mind what you want to become. Breathe it. Speak it. Visualize it. Burn it into your subconscious until it forgets who you were and only remembers who you're becoming. This is how transformation happens. Not in a burst, but in daily discipline. Every thought is a seed. You're planting something every day, whether you mean to or not. So ask yourself, what's growing in the garden of your mind? Weeds or weapons? Do you plant images of defeat or visions of victory? Do you think like the person you are or the person you were born to be? Because in the end, your life becomes a reflection of your most repeated thought. So, repeat the right ones. Flood your mind with images of strength, not struggle. Feed it purpose, not pity. And make sure that whatever you dwell on is worth becoming. Because you will. You're under attack. Every single day. Not with fists, not with knives, but with thoughts. They don't come all at once. They creep in, slow, subtle, smiling. A little doubt here, a little fear there. A small voice telling you you're not enough, that you're falling behind, that you'll never make it. And while you're distracted, while you're scrolling, while you're just trying to get through the day, those thoughts set up camp in your mind until you don't know where you end, and they begin. You are at war with yourself. Inside you are two forces, one that wants power, discipline, mastery, legacy, and one that wants ease, distraction, comfort, and weakness. And here's the brutal truth. Only one of them is going to win. The war is quiet, but the consequences are loud. Because if you don't fight back, you won't just stay the same. You'll drown in the slow decay of your potential. There are enemies within. Your negative self, the ancient voice programmed from pain, built on betrayal, trained to expect nothing and fear everything. your past conditioning, the voices of parents, teachers, exes, bosses, failures, echoing in your subconscious like gospel. Your inherited limitations, the generational curses, the scarcity you were born into, the trauma you absorbed before you could walk. And they all want one thing: control. Not over the world, over you. There are enemies. Without two, you know them. The people you see every day who joke about your goals because they gave up on theirs. The so-called friends who subtly undermine your discipline. Come on, just skip one day. The environment soaked in negativity, offices, homes, even your own bedroom. They don't wear uniforms. They don't announce themselves. But make no mistake, they are the front line of resistance. And if you don't arm yourself, their influence will consume you. This is why most people never change. Because they don't understand the game. They don't realize that self-mastery requires eternal vigilance. You can't just be focused for a day, a week, or a month. You must be fortified, daily, mentally armed, spiritually shielded, trained to recognize when the attack comes and counter it before it lands. This isn't motivation. This is mental warfare. You need immunity, not exposure. You can't cut off every negative person. You can't control every toxic situation. But you can immunize yourself. How? By feeding your mind before the world poisons it. By crafting rituals that armor you in focus, faith, and fire. By learning to stand tall when everything around you is trying to pull you back to mediocrity. You don't fight chaos with passivity. You fight it with conscious construction. You build walls of thought. You create routines of power. You become a fortress that nothing weak can penetrate. Don't let the noise inside be louder than the purpose inside. You will be tempted. You will be distracted. You will be pushed, drained, tested. And in those moments you must remember, the enemy is not stronger than you. It's just louder. So lower the noise. Raise your standard. And recommit. Again and again and again. Because this war doesn't end. Not until your last breath. The code of the disciplined mind. I guard my mind like a vault. I train my thoughts like soldiers. I tolerate no influence that weakens me. I kneel to no negativity. I defend my focus like it's sacred. Because it is. And when others ask how you stayed so centered in a world built on chaos, you'll look them in the eye and say, I never left the gate unguarded. You inherited chains, but that doesn't mean you wear them. Some people are born into abundance. Others are born into shadow, born into scarcity, born into fear, born into patterns of silence, shame, survival. They didn't ask for it. You didn't either. But it's what you got. A mind wired for limitation. A heart half believing. A life built on stories that weren't yours, but became yours through repetition. But here's the truth no one told you. You can break it. You can shatter every cursed belief. You can kill every inherited weakness. You can become what no one in your bloodline ever dared to imagine. But it will take war. Not everything you carry is yours. You think it's just you? The anger, the doubt, the sabotaging voice that whispers, you'll never make it. No, much of it isn't even yours. It's your father's failures, your mother's trauma, your culture's fear, your family's silence, the echo of generations who never figured out how to rise. And now, it lives in your nervous system, wired into your default settings, telling you to shrink, telling you to stay safe. But you weren't born to obey ghosts. You were born to burn them. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. You want to be free? Then stop pretending. Stop pretending your past didn't affect you. Stop pretending your upbringing didn't condition your fear. Stop pretending your lineage wasn't broken. Because that denial is the very chain you can't feel tightening. The truth is, the only weapon that works. And when you look your inheritance dead in the eye and say, I see you, I know what you've done, and I'm not you, that's when the curse begins to crack. Transmutation is the highest power. You don't run from the darkness. You pull it in, tear it apart, and reforge it. You turn poverty into hunger. You turn abandonment into independence. You turn doubt into obsession. You turn generational weakness into legendary resilience. You don't reject your roots. You rewire them. Because you are not here to repeat the story. You're here to rewrite it. In blood, discipline, and fire. You were born into it, but you were also born to end it. Let them talk. Let them say, you've changed. Let them whisper about how different you are now. Good. You were meant to be different. You were meant to outgrow them. You were meant to outthink, outfight, and outbuild every limit they handed you with a smile. This isn't betrayal. This is liberation. And if you have to walk alone to do it, so be it. Let the cycle die with you. Let the chain stop at your name. Let the bloodline shift forever. Because you chose to be the one. This is the oath of the cycle breaker. I will not be a prisoner of the past. I will not let the weight of my blood drown my future. I will honor the struggle by transcending it. I will not repeat. I will rebuild. I will rise. And I will make damn sure the next generation inherits strength, not silence. You weren't given much, but you were given enough. You were given breath. You were given mind. You were given will. And that is all you need. So rise from the ashes of your ancestry. Look back one last time at the ghosts behind you and walk into the storm, free, forged, and unchained. The world is loud. You must be still. Everywhere you go, it screams at you. Your phone, your feeds, your failures, the expectations, the constant pressure to speak, to prove, to perform. And so you talk. You explain yourself. You react. You defend. You scream into the storm, hoping someone, anyone, hears you. But here's the truth. The world doesn't reward noise. It rewards power. And power is born in silence. Silence is not weakness. It is preparation. There's a sacred space inside you. A stillness. A knowing. But you'll never hear it if you're addicted to distraction. You must unplug to unlock. Turn off the echo chamber. Withdraw from the circus. Cut the static until you can finally hear the only voice that matters. Your own. Not the voice corrupted by trauma. Not the voice shaped by critics. Not the voice trained to obey. I'm talking about the voice behind the noise. The one that remembers who you are. The one that's been buried, not broken. That voice, that's your command center. Most people will never hear it. They'll die drowned in noise. Because stillness terrifies them. Because when the noise fades, the lies are exposed. And they can't handle that kind of truth. But you're different. You're not afraid of silence. You crave it. Because you know silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something powerful is being built. You must choose inner order over outer validation. Everyone wants attention. You want control. Everyone wants applause. You want ascendancy. So while they shout, you sharpen. While they post, you plan. While they prove, you prepare. And when the time comes to move, to strike, to unleash what's been building. You won't need permission. You'll be undeniable, because while they were seen, you were becoming. Create rituals that starve the noise. If you don't choose silence, you'll be enslaved by noise. So build systems. Wake up before the world. Sit in the dark. Close your eyes. Listen. Journal. Train. Pray. Plan. And most importantly, shut up. Stop announcing what you're building. Stop explaining what you're becoming. Stop broadcasting the battle plan. You are not obligated to be seen during construction. The results will speak when the war is won. Your stillness is your superpower. In a world of frantic movement, the still one commands presence. Stillness is not idleness. Stillness is alignment. Stillness is control. Stillness is unshakable focus in a storm that's trying to rip you apart. And when you learn to remain still while the noise screams, you become unbreakable. This is the code of the silent warrior. I do not seek approval. I seek results. I do not fear solitude. I fear distraction. I do not chase the spotlight. I become the fire. I will drown the noise, honor the silence, and return only when the world is begging to know what I've become. The war is loud, but your victory will be quiet until it isn't. And when it's time, you won't need to scream. The world will go silent because you entered the room. You were taught to accumulate, not to ascend. They told you to get rich, to chase more, to never stop, to build an empire, no matter the cost. And now, you've got people who look successful, but are spiritually bankrupt. Bank accounts full, souls empty. They have everything and enjoy nothing because they didn't learn how to stop. They didn't learn the sacred law. Enough is everything. More is not always better. Sometimes more is poison. Look around. How many people have destroyed their health for more? How many sacrificed family, peace, sleep, time for more? And what did they get? Stress, disconnection, the addiction to hustle that never ends. Because when you train your brain to only chase, you forget how to be present. You forget how to be grateful. You forget how to be human. You become a machine, an animal that only knows how to consume. Greed has 1,000 disguises. It doesn't always look like hoarding gold. Sometimes it looks like chasing more followers, more recognition, more clout, more attention, and it whispers, just a little more. But a little more becomes never enough. You don't even remember why you started. You just run, and you keep running. And one day, you realize you traded your soul for speed. The truly powerful know when to stop. Discipline isn't just pushing forward. Discipline is also knowing when to pause, knowing when you have enough, knowing when to build deeper, not just higher, knowing that the goal was never more things. It was more mastery. You are not here to gather mountains of junk. You're here to gather wisdom. And if you're not growing inward, then everything you've built is just a prettier version of the same cage. Make peace with enough. Enough doesn't mean small. It doesn't mean mediocre. It means balanced. It means you've taken what you need. And now, you sharpen, you stabilize, you build meaning, not just monuments. Let the world chase. Let them run themselves into the ground. Let them climb a ladder that leads nowhere. You find stillness at the summit because you climbed with intention, not with fear, not with greed, with purpose. This is the oath of the satisfied warrior. I do not chase more. I chase mastery. I know what is enough. I protect my peace as fiercely as my power. I measure wealth not by accumulation, but by alignment. I will never die thirsty while swimming in abundance. You weren't meant to be a starving king. You were meant to live full, focused, balanced, free. So don't be the fool who gains the world, only to lose the one thing that matters: yourself. You can own everything and still be a prisoner. They never tell you that part. They show you the jets, the mansions, the watches, the freedom. But behind the curtain, anxiety, obsession, isolation, a heart that never stops racing, a mind that never shuts off. You think peace is a luxury? Number peace is the foundation, and without it, everything else crumbles. The price of achievement cannot be your soul. What's the point of grinding 16 hours a day if you can't sleep through the night? What's the point of conquering the market if you've become a stranger to yourself? What's the point of getting rich if you've become poor in joy, poor in presence, poor in spirit? They call it the grind. But what they don't tell you is this: some people never come back from it. They become addicted to progress and allergic to stillness. They lose the ability to just be. Peace of mind is not found. It is built. You don't get peace from a vacation. You don't get peace from a new home or a bigger bank account. You get it by building your inner fortress brick by brick, by cutting the noise, by mastering your reactions, by walking away from chaos, even when it begs you to engage. Peace doesn't beg for attention. It sits in silence and waits to see if you're wise enough to pursue it. Chaos pays well, but it collects a blood debt. The world will reward you for urgency, for working late, for proving yourself. But every time you choose chaos over clarity, it takes something from you: your joy, your presence, your stillness, and eventually, your identity. Because a man without peace becomes a beast, always hunting, never resting. You must reclaim the game. Success without peace is slavery with a better view. So flip the rules. Let peace be the prerequisite, not the payoff. Build your schedule around your mind, not your money. Don't just chase the dream, live it. Work with fire, but rest with reverence. Dominate the battlefield, but guard your sanctuary. And remember, peace of mind isn't the absence of war. It's the presence of inner command. This is the code of the peaceful warrior. I do not trade my soul for status. I do not confuse chaos with progress. I do not chase achievements that cost me my center. I build in silence. I rest in discipline. I protect my peace as I protect my purpose. Let others run themselves ragged. Let them brag about being busy. You rise with calm. You move with precision. You sleep like a king, because your mind is your kingdom, and it's finally quiet. Most people drag themselves through life. They hate Mondays. They count hours. They wait for breaks. They pray for the weekend like it's salvation. Why? Because they've made their daily labor a prison sentence. They do what they have to, never what they want to, never what sets them on fire. And that's why they never win. Because no one becomes great doing what they despise. You were not born to dread the day. You weren't made to wake up already defeated. You weren't created just to pay bills, sit in traffic, and shrink your soul for a paycheck. You were built for purpose. You were built to create, dominate, elevate. But somewhere along the way, you were taught to endure instead of enjoy, to tolerate instead of thrive. And now the world's full of ghosts in living bodies, working jobs they hate, for people they fear, in lives they don't even recognize. But here's the truth. Your work doesn't have to be war. It can be the arena. Turn labor into a ritual. Turn routine into a weapon. There is a secret that the most dangerous people in the world understand. Make it a game, not a joke, not a distraction, but a game you love to play. One where you get better every time you show up. One where every setback is just another move to master. One where you control the tempo. Because when you enjoy the process, discipline isn't a burden, it's a pleasure. And when you find pleasure in what others run from, you win, by default. Joy is the ultimate edge. Let others burn out. Let them grind until they collapse. Let them chase money while their spirit decays. You play your work like an artist plays his craft. You show up with presence, passion, fire. You give every task, big or small, the same intensity. Because it's not about the task. It's about who you become through it. And when you approach every hour as a chance to sharpen, to rise, to master yourself, there is no competition. Choose the work you would do without applause. Most people choose their work based on external rewards, status, approval, validation. But the real ones? They choose what feeds their soul. They choose what calls to them in the silence. They choose what they do alone, unpaid, unseen, just for the fire it gives them. And then, they get paid because of the fire, not instead of it. This is the creed of the joyful warrior. I do not dread the day. I greet it. I seize it. I command it. My labor is my training ground. My discipline is my celebration. My work is not something I survive. It's the field where I thrive. The world wants you bitter, burnt out, and barely hanging on. It wants you to believe that misery is noble. But you weren't made to crawl through your days. You were made to stride through them with purpose. So build a life you don't need to escape from. Build a path where the journey is the reward. And make sure the fire never dies. The masses labor like slaves. The warriors labor like saints. Look around. People trade their time like it's worthless. They show up dead behind the eyes. They count the seconds until lunch, the days until Friday, the years until retirement. They've made work their prison, and their soul is doing the sentence. But you're not here to survive work. You're here to sanctify it, to make every move sacred, to make every act of creation a ceremony, to turn your labor into a living altar of discipline, devotion, and fire. If you don't love the work, you'll loathe the life. You can't fake it, not forever. No matter how much you make, no matter who praises you, if you secretly hate what you do every day, it will rot your spirit. It will wear your fire down to a flicker. It will break you in ways no one sees, until you become a husk of what you once dreamed to be. The problem isn't the hours. It's the absence of meaning. And meaning doesn't come from the title. It comes from the spirit you bring to the task. You must fall in love with the doing, not just the outcome, not just the applause, not just the reward, but the doing, the building, the shaping, the crafting of something that matters, something that reflects your higher self. Because when you fall in love with the act, you no longer fear the cost. You welcome the grind. You honor the repetition. You show up to the battlefield, grateful for another day to sharpen your sword. And that is holy work. Worship isn't always knees and altars. Sometimes it's sweat and silence. Every time you resist the urge to quit, that's worship. Every time you choose focus over distraction, that's worship. Every time you move with purpose, with presence, with power, You're not just working, you're praying with your body. And the world responds to that kind of devotion. It bows to those who treat their craft with reverence. When you treat work like worship, life becomes art. Your actions start to flow. Your movements become intentional. Your days aren't a blur, they're a composition. And while others burn out chasing balance, you become balanced by design. Not because you work less, but because every action serves something greater. You don't need a retreat. You don't need an escape. You just need to return to the sacred mindset that every moment matters. This is the code of the devoted worker. I do not rush my work. I revere it. I do not chase reward. I chase mastery. I do not dread the grind. I turn it into gold. My labor is my legacy. My work is my offering. And every act I commit is a prayer toward the future I will command. You weren't made to just work. You were made to build kingdoms. So stop working like a beggar. Start building like a god. And let every action you take be a sermon the world cannot ignore. The most dangerous opponent is not out there. It's within. You can train your body, sharpen your skills, stack money, build networks, learn strategy. But if your mind is sick, if your attitude is infected, you will lose. Not because you weren't talented, not because you weren't capable, but because you doubted yourself at the moment you needed belief most. That's how most people fall. Not from failure, but from mental surrender. Attitude is the lens. Everything else is the illusion. What you see is not the truth. It's a reflection of your state. You walk into a room with fear, you'll see threat. You walk in with purpose, you'll see opportunity. The room didn't change. You did. And that's why PMA, positive mental attitude, isn't self-help fluff. It's survival. It's war strategy. It's the difference between seeing the storm as destruction or ignition. The world is rigged against the negative. Life doesn't reward misery. It doesn't pity the bitter. It doesn't stop spinning because you're exhausted, frustrated, or afraid. It keeps going. And it crushes those who haven't built a mind strong enough to walk into the fire and say, I'm still going. The storm doesn't calm for you. You become the calm inside the storm. And that starts with one decision. I will master my mental state, no matter what surrounds me. You are a magnet, and your attitude is the charge. Don't believe it? Look around. Negative people attract problems, setbacks, drama, delay. Positive people, true warriors of discipline and mindset, they attract motion, momentum, solutions. Why? Because they're not waiting for conditions to change. They command their internal environment. And the world always bends to the one who refuses to bend to it. This battle must be fought every day. Don't get it twisted. PMA is not a one-and-done mantra. It's a daily fight. You will wake up with doubt. You will encounter weakness. You will be tested. And every time the question will come, what mindset will you choose? Because attitude is a choice, not a condition. And your ability to choose power in the middle of pain, that is what makes you unbreakable. This is the code of the mentally armed. I do not wait for life to be easy. I train my mind to be stronger. I do not let the world define my state. I define my world. I keep my focus. I protect my peace. And I rise with power, even when the ground beneath me shakes. Let others drown in emotion. Let them react to every trigger. Let them be slaves to mood, weather, and headlines. You stand. You choose fire. You carry light. And you forge a path no darkness can hold back. Because the attitude you wear is the armor that cannot be pierced. You've walked through fire, not physical flames, but the infernos of the mind. We covered 15 principles, 15 battlefield strategies, designed to forge you into someone who doesn't just survive, but dominates. Let's remember what you've been armed with. You learned that true power begins with mastery over the body and mind. That self-discipline isn't repression, but total control. You discovered that submission is a choice, and while life may throw you down, you never have to stay down. You built walls around your mind, protecting your inner world from manipulation. You embrace the truth that talk is weakness, and silence, when mastered, becomes an unbreakable weapon. You summoned your 8 inner guides, forming a system of internal leadership that keeps you balanced, focused, and energized. You accepted that pain is not waste, it's fuel, and if you're strong enough, you can grind every blow into power. You learned that your mind must be locked on the target, that whatever you focus on, you become, and that this focus must be guarded daily, because your enemies are not just external. They are already inside your house, wearing familiar faces. You faced the brutal truth that your inheritance is not your identity. Whatever chains you were born into, you were also born to break. You now understand that the world's noise is a trap, and silence isn't absence. It's strategy. That greed is a curse disguised as ambition, and only those who know when to stop ever feel free. You've seen that peace of mind is the real treasure, and that no amount of success matters if your spirit is in chaos. That work is not a prison. It's either a grind or a game you love to play. You learn to treat your labor like worship, not because of what it gets you, but because of what it makes of you. And finally, above all, you now carry the truth that attitude is everything, that your mind is the throne, and if you don't sit on it every day, the enemy will. This wasn't just a lecture. This was the map to freedom, to focus, to fire. You don't need more motivation. You need execution, discipline, faith in the silence, because no one's coming to save you. And that's not a threat. That's the invitation to become everything they said you couldn't. Now go. Guard your mind, sharpen your will, and rise, because the world doesn't need another victim. It needs another unbreakable legend.